welcome to the After Show, the Katie Black Show. Today, I'm honored. I have with me,
I'm Ryan Brooks. I'm one of Katie's besties from back in college.
yes, the Florida fam.
Yeah, Florida fam.
I
But
was
we
trying to,
ain't from there.
oh my God, never. I was trying to think real quick. Do you remember like when we met or I don't know.
No, I don't. At a party or something, like that. But I actually can't pinpoint. I know it
No,
was I feel like it was the end of a semester.
I agree. And then we like reconnected the next one.
Right.
Okay, so before I get into everything, I always ask my guests, where were you born slash where did you grow up?
Yeah. So I'm originally from the Philadelphia area. So I grew up here and I moved back here a few years ago. And yeah, it's great. Cheesesteaks, soft pretzels, go birds.
What? And what was that like in the 90s? Like I always like try to pinpoint like for our generation, like what was growing up in the 90s like?
Much better than now. Times were a lot easier and a lot simpler.
Oh my gosh. No one could like contact you at any will, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You could just not I'm out of minutes on my phone. I can't talk. I think that was the 90s.
Somewhere in there. The
Yeah.
90s was amazing, I would say. Okay, so fun fact, Ryan is a strategic brand leadership role. Like you are all about branding. And even I've struggled since, regardless of how long I've been doing this. Like, what are ti like two tips or a number one tip that you would tell someone, whether it's a solo business or an individual business, like how does someone go about branding themselves?
Yeah, it's a good question. And one that actually I probably get a lot where it's kind of like when I talk about to people how I do branding, like it's kind of like what does that mean? And it's easy to kind of lean into like this idea of like, well, a lot of people think brands are a logo, and it's like branding is so much more than a logo. It's like how you present yourself to the world, what people remember about you if they as they see your logo, what are the things that they feel about your brand. Um, so I think probably the number one thing is really like what's like the one clear thing that you want to be known for? A good brand is like specific and not like too broad. So like for example, like saying for myself, like instead of saying that I'm just in marketing, like saying something like I build partnerships that make brands show up in culture is like a more impactful way of like kind of describing yourself in a much more specific way. So it's kind of like that idea of like, what do I want to be known for when I'm not in the room?
That's fair.
Um,
That's good.
and then kind of along with that too, like as you're building this idea of like the one thing that you're known for, it's that like beats perfection. So like, you know, I can put my Instagram profile or my TikTok bio like what I want to be known for, but it's really more about what people notice over time. So like that predictable energy, am I sharp? Am I witty? Am I bold? Like those things that people know when they're interacting with me, they're gonna get.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really about that idea of like building recognition over time versus like one-off kind of impressions of like, every time somebody sees me, I'm a different person. That's not going to help your personal brand or help people
Hmm.
remember who you are.
I like that sticking of like, how do you want people to talk about you when you leave the room?
Yeah, better not talk shit.
Regardless of branding, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
do you think it's true that like you got to have like an elevator speech to sell yourself? Like you got
I
to,
think so, totally. Like you never know that moment, like you could be in an elevator or at a cocktail party and you're meeting somebody for the first time and they're like, "What do you do?" or "Where do you live? Where are you from?" Like you need to have like that the elevator pitch almost is like, "What's your cocktail party introduction? Like what are you gonna like talk about?" And that's gonna make you sound interesting.
I guess I shouldn't bring up my caller ID, huh?
You know? It's not that kind of party.
I'll talk about that later, guys. Um, no, I like that. I don't know why. It's just I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've kind of talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Do you brand yourself? There's something with me and millennials, but I don't know, the millennial spokesperson.
And then you have to be like authentic about it too. Like think about like the Real Housewives and like the ones who only like make it one season are the ones that are like too worried about their image and they're not just being their true selves. Like
Mhm.
really talk about the things that matter to you and like the things that you care about. Because if you're just like if that's not coming through as authentic, it's not helping your brand. It's just making people not relate to you because they don't trust what you're saying.
You know me, I'm gonna marinate. I always marinate. Um, but those are good tips. Like I said, it sticks with me of like what do you want like people in a boardroom to say about you once you've left. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of housewives, this week as we record, you guys know I record kind of not in real time, so this will air a little bit later. But this week it quote unquote, I guess it officially broke that they're not the Housewives of Miami aren't returning, or they're what's your vibes? They're gonna table what they filmed already, or
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like they're putting it on pause. I think the group has had an interesting dynamic since they've come back, and I don't know how many seasons it's been since the last pause. They went on maybe four or five um, uh, with this new group, but there's just something that like I loved watching the Miami Housewives,
me too.
but for some reason it's just not sticking, and it's a little disappointing because it's the Hispanic community is one that is not represented very much on Bravo. So this kind of gave some insight or the audience something different that they don't necessarily get to see with the other Housewife franchises. Um, so I hope it comes back.
Me
I think,
too. I love it.
yeah, I think they got to. I think got to shake up the cast a little bit, which is what we're seeing also in other franchises too. But I think there'll always be a place for Miami Housewives on Bravo.
Absolutely. Even if it's just like, you know how for a couple years they just had it on Peacock, like it was just streaming.
Right.
Like even if it's just something like that. And I wonder too, like speaking of branding and marketing, I saw this funny meme where it's like, did you see it where it was like, I don't know if I sent it to you, where it was like a cycle of like, Bravo doesn't market Miami Housewives. Like Miami Housewives doesn't do good in ratings. Like, do you
Well,
play into
yeah, that
that
makes
or?
sense. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can tell there's definitely like franchises where it's like New York has been so boring. The fights just like what the women are talking about just feels so like
Vanilla.
trivial and like not that important. And they're getting, a new season and Miami's put on pause, you know? So
TBD.
TBD.
Okay, so something that's not vanilla and boring is again what's happened this week. First of all, do you watch the Mormon Housewives
I do.
or Mom
I was
Talk, whatever?
obsessed. Yeah, with
Yeah, me
Mom
too.
Talk. Yeah.
And why do you think? Because I kind of was telling my sister, I'm like, I think it's because it's you don't really see that producer being like, all right, say this. And what did you say? Like, do you think that that's a little bit of it? Like it's 2013 reality TV or
Yeah, potentially. I think it does feel a little bit less produced than maybe some of the other reality shows that we watch. I think there's something culturally that people are interested in the Mormon culture, like they want to know
absolutely.
more about it, or they don't know a lot about it. They think it's, people with 19 wives, and that's I don't, from my understanding, that's not necessarily what it is.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's, we're seeing. I think that's why Salt Lake City Housewives was so successful because it was
Absolutely.
a something new and fresh. And um, I think the Mormon Wives and Mom Talk was something new and exciting. And then they got this following on TikTok, which is very impressive. And then they got this show, and I think people wanted to really see what living their life was like. That it's actually not all glam, glitz, and glam like you see on the Housewives. It's actually people who have kind of everyday struggles.
Hmm. So cut to Taylor Frankie Paul. I just call her like Frankie Paul in my head.
But
She was set. Obviously, they already filmed The Bachelorette. My understanding was it was going to air this Sunday. Then, like a trickle of scenarios come out where the ex-baby daddy Dakota accused her of choking him 2025 somewhere in there with a necklace. And then they started digging and found from 2023 this domestic video of her being really abusive. How would you put it in a nutshell?
Yeah. So this is obviously a very complicated situation, but what I think we can all definitely agree on is like when you watch that video, like the behavior is appalling and unacceptable and quite like
Hmm.
scary.
Hmm.
Um, I think what I've in watching the news, what I'm sort of hearing is like that video was related to like an old previous case that that she's talked about on the show, that ABC and Disney and Hulu all knew about, before she was selected as the Bachelorette. and what I guess what was happening this week is um, the case that is now being investigated of like with this necklace or something like that, whatever has happened, is a new case. So like the video we're seeing is has nothing to do with
What's going on now?
with what's happening now. So, but with that said, I mean, there's all these conspiracy theories too. Like like was hearing something today around like she's an executive producer on the Mormon Wives show. Hulu and Disney are in the same family. They or Hulu and ABC are all part of the Disney family, and they knew who she was. And people are saying that maybe they didn't even film The Bachelorette. They're just trying to bring The Bachelorette back because
Whoa, I haven't heard that one.
declining
That's fun.
ratings. Like this conspiracy person, the person who's talking about this theory was like, where are the men who filmed? Where are the men? You know, like we've seen previews, but is that all of that staged? I don't I don't necessarily know if I believe it, but th- there's if it did film, there's definitely somebody's going to be losing out on a lot of money by not airing or by putting it on the shelf. Maybe also part of the strategy is let's put this on the shelf until things calm down and we release it next month.
Interesting. So they're like, well, is that
Because
kind of what you think's gonna happen, or?
maybe potentially I was like ABC's statement on it. The spokesperson was talking about how they were very intentional with their words, and it was like we're like delaying it for now. Like the for now piece was part of their statement. So it's almost like we're not going to air it Sunday, premiere it Sunday, but we are leaving ourselves free to do it in the future.
Another TBD, which
Yeah,
is fascinating.
yeah.
Just
But it
fascinating.
almost like all lend like built like I mean, talk about things being produced. It was like the whole Mom Talk season. If you got through all like 10 episodes, they kept talking about how you're going to ruin this opportunity in The Bachelorette. You're going to not, you know what I mean? You're going to miss out on this opportunity. You need to do this. And every episode is about The Bachelorette and how you're going to ruin it for yourself. And then
Cut to.
cut to that's actually what happened. So it's like it does make you question or think about really what's happening here. And also then ABC or Disney knew she pled guilty to the abuse case years ago.
Hmm.
So
So what was the deal?
to say that they're surprised about it now is I think that's interesting.
Because it's like we knew.
Right. We knew, everyone knew.
But I will, the only kind of like devil's advocate I will say is a video is always a little different, you know?
There's three sides to every story, you know.
Then there's the video.
And in this case it's his side, her side, Disney's side, and what is the truth.
And also too, you wonder like who speaking of boardrooms, who threw the suggestion out there for her to do that? Like is that person's job, kaputs, or was it a group of people, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's any one person who makes a decision of like who the next bachelorette's going to be. Um, I do think I think they needed to leverage the success of Mom Talk and Mormon Wives to help reboot The Bachelorette. I think there was a lot of people who were planning to watch.
Me too, and me too. Like I've always been like a person that like maybe catches the end or the very beginning, but never watches the whole thing like ever. And so this
Yeah,
was going to be the first time I was like, I'm going to watch this.
and there's something also about like all the previews that they did start airing was like, she's known she speaks her mind, right? That's one of the things that I think her brand she's known for. But like in one of the clips, she's going and she takes all the roses back from the men as she gave them out, and she's like telling them to like she kicks people out. I don't know if you saw those clips, but it's like now in the context of the video that came out, it's like those clips almost just make it or look like an angry person versus being like a woman who's really here to find love and she's not going to let any men, screw her around.
Hmm. So I guess to cut to the second tier is they've stopped filming of Mormon Housewives. Do you think that like they'll go on filming without her, or what's your two cents about that? Or they're just going to halt until things like she goes to rehab or some kind of emotional rehab, or
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I think there's a lot of different scenarios at play. It sounds like that the other women on the cast were really the drivers of saying, "Hey, we want to put this on pause. We're not going to film right now." But then they've had their own stuff come out in the press. Like I think two people have now getting divorced or separated, other cast members. But then I think
Oh,
the other piece is that, she's an EP on, and so how does that dynamic work? Who gets to decide if she's an EP or not? Does she get to continue to be an executive producer or and not a cast member, or what happens? Um, what I There's other women on that cast that I think would do really well in The Bachelorette, and I actually started thinking, and maybe if ABC, if you're hearing this, I want some royalties or something for this idea. Is like almost like turn it into a live show,
ooh.
like it's on like every night, like how Love Island is, and just pick up the cameras and start filming with another girl and bring all the men back,
Oh my, that'd be
if the men even exist.
right. I'm obsessed. I mean, even though that like the whole scenario is dark, but like I'm obsessed with that theory that it was like never, there's no show in the bag, you know?
Right. No one's out. No, ABC's not out of all this production money.
Right. Okay, well we'll stay tuned. Okay, so then my next topic I want to touch on, which sure might be an eye roller, but I've followed since I've started the podcast, like Britney's conservatorship, then her years later being freed of it, and now I don't know if it was in February or the beginning of March, but she was charged with a DUI in in the Los Angeles area. Looked it up. She had never, that was like her first arrest. Any thoughts on her?
Lock her back up. She needs to be under someone's care. Um, it's people make bad choices all the time. You know, um, there's obviously something going on with her that she just needs
Help.
help. I think, I mean, I was like free Britney, just like the rest of them. I'm like, she should be living her life. It felt like she was like a prisoner. She wasn't able to live her life. It felt like people were stealing her money, or spending her money. Um, uh, or allegedly, I'll say allegedly. Um, but, but it's like almost like now things have gone a little too far.
And so, like, in a nutshell, since like you're my pop culture brother, like, what do you think happened to her? Like, just overall, like her life, like, just fame at a
It could
young
be
age.
I mean, to be the most famous woman in the world for how many years at such a young age, then, then you stop working as much, or some choices lead you down a different path, or you know what I mean? And then next thing you know, you're in a conservatorship, and then you don't think you need to be in that, or people are fighting for you. Like all of a sudden you're relevant and popular again. So now you're fighting to get out of the conservatorship. People want new music and all these things, and then you finally get some of that freedom, and maybe you kind of forget how to just function like a normal functioning adult should. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, maybe that's it. Maybe that's boom, bada bang, you know?
Yeah. I mean, or maybe it's also her kids are older. I think they're both over 18 now. So go live your life, girl. You know, don't just don't drink and drive.
So, any, like, not to put you on the spot, but like any like trends or like things you're interested or following or,
Um, no, I mean everything. Not to pivot from pop culture, but everything is so political right now. I'm
mhm,
trying to like
not, yeah.
stay away from it a little bit if I can. But um, I think it's interesting that we are holding the Bachelorette more accountable than we hold our own president.
Guess who said that this morning?
Your sister.
Yes.
Yeah. I can believe it because it's true. Um, I think the world's in a crazy place. I think people are worried about, feeding their families. They're worried about, can I get from point A to point B safely? And
And when do you think the ride ends? Because I'm kind of at the point too where, like, I mean, I always say I'm at the point and it changes and it shifts and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm numb. I'm not angry anymore. But I guess I've come to the place of like, it's been 11 years. I want off the ride. And I'm like, how do I get off the ride? How do
I
I
don't think,
exit stage left?
well, we're going to vote them out. But but then I don't think the ride actually stops. I think if you care too much, it doesn't stop. If you want to disengage and disassociate from it and just live in your bubble, that's fine. But what are you going how are you going to live your life? Just doing whatever you want to do and not care about another person?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just kind of at this like, or even too, mom was like into this Nixon documentary, and she's like, there's so many like similarities to what's going on now, and I'm like,
Yeah,
we wish that shit was going on now.
right.
That was nothing, in my opinion.
I wish the biggest scandal was wearing a tan suit. Okay.
Or showing your buff arms as a female, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
Well, dot,
Yeah.
right?
And yeah, Michelle can definitely do more push-ups than any of those men who can't even stick their arms out to touch the ground with their big old bellies.
Or how
Okay.
about everyone in that White House right now?
Yeah. Exactly.
How about everyone Washington Ave?
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of asked this, and I don't know if I've ever like asked you this before because obviously I've known you forever. Have you ever seen a ghost or experienced something really like trippy that stands out? No pressure.
I don't know if I've seen a ghost, but I definitely like hear things at night.
Interesting.
And my mind just turns in different ways. Not necessarily like, oh my God, there's a ghost in the house. It's like, is there somebody in the house? Is there an animal in the house? Is there this? You know what I mean? I mean, there's also been moments where it's like you take a picture and there's like a weird orb you think in the picture, but it's probably just like a little piece of dust,
Hmm.
in the
That's
flash.
fair.
But you never know, you know? So I don't know if I've ever, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a ghost.
That's fair.
Have you seen
Okay,
a ghost?
I have, but only you've heard the story, right? In Charleston?
Maybe.
Um, I want to say it was like 2018 or 2019, and me and Molly and our family friend was in Charleston. It was like midday. You think of like ghosts as like, oh, it's like a nighttime thing. But it was really hot. I just remember being like so grossly hot. And we're on a side street, so there's only one-way traffic. I don't know why that matters, and this guy is coming towards me, and he looks to be what I would like describe as like someone in my social studies book, like Civil War stuff. And I'm like, this town is fucking weird. This place is
Mhm.
so weird. Look at this reenactment actor. But I'm sure like, does that happen in Philly where people like, aren't there reenactments or no?
Yeah, we have a lot of like characters who dress up as like the different
Yes.
historical figures. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So same kind of, obviously I couldn't think that he was a historical figure, but just like a guy that, whatever. Anyways, I'm
Yeah.
like, didn't really think anything of it. And he's walking towards me in the opposite direction, and I'm walking. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna like see what he looks like, his eyes. Because he had like that brim, like Civil War
Hmm.
hat. I'm like, oh, I want to see what his eyes look like. And as that happened, he was like right gone. And Molly and Rusi was up ahead of us. And so they didn't see it. And I remember I got to the end of the street and like told them, and they're just like, we're sweating, we're dehydrated, like whatever. Like totally blew
Yeah.
me off, right? But I guess the weird thing was I blocked it out. I blocked it out for probably like, I don't know how many years until I started asking people about it. So I feel like that's the weirdest part.
Maybe it was coming to tell you something.
What, the British are here?
Yeah. Mhm.
So that's it though.
That's wild.
Any like any vibes for like the 250 this summer in your neck of the woods? Like what's the city, the community's vibes of it?
There's so much going on this year in Philly, like beyond just like being like the 250th anniversary year
Mhm.
of America. Also with like the all the sports stuff. So like we're hosting like the World Cup stuff. We have there's so many events. I think just starting like now they're doing like a 40 or 50 day experience by the art museum that you can kind of go and get the whole like FIFA World Cup experience type of thing. The big baseball things going on. I think like it might be the home run derby. I don't know.
Just a lot.
Something like that. A lot going on in Philly. But it's all really good. They're investing a lot in just getting the city ready, investing money in cleaning like the streets and making road repairs and a lot of new hotels opening up. So like a lot of new restaurants. So it's like there's just a lot going on in the city, and it's going to be like a really exciting year to like be in Philly.
Absolutely. Woot woot.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you're our age group, so I always talk about millennials, babies born between 1981 and 1996. Growing up, what was your like band or artist or movie or television show that like really stands out that you were obsessed with?
Um, well, I think for those who don't know that I'm a gay man, but I didn't know it back then, right? So like I think if you were to ask me this question in the 90s, I'd be like, oh, my favorite band is like Green Day or something. But it was really like I'm listening to the boy bands. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I just didn't know any other bands, but it was like that's what I told people. But I was
Uh,
really listening to like I remember one time my mom asked our neighbors who were like girls and they're like, what should we run for his birthday? And they're like, get him the 98 Degrees album CD.
I
And
love
that's what I got for my
that.
birthday one year.
I love that. So from all the boy bands, like what's your favorite?
Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite. I probably could, a lot of times I could probably didn't even if, I don't know if today I could distinguish if who
Which
sang
one?
this song sang that. Um, Obviously a lot of Backstreet Boys like is popular, like you know a lot of their songs.
Hmm.
And then yeah, I don't know, they're all good. I listened to them today.
That's fun. I love that birthday story. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
So going into our generation, like, do you think we've had a bad rap? Like, what's your two cents on like how we've been stereotyped?
I don't know, there's always this thing like and like graduating college and getting into like marketing, people were always trying to like reach and find how can we sell product to the millennials. And it was always like I remember always feeling like these like older people with more experience always being like, well, this is what millennials want. This is what millennials need, blah, blah, blah. And I kept being like in my mind, like, stop telling me like what I need and
One.
want. You know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't like me, it was just a generation of people. And I think that is a little telling into like the millennial culture that maybe gave us a little bit of a bad rap is like don't tell us what we want. Like we'll tell you what we want when we want it. Yeah, I think millennials are going to be the best generation. We're the most educated generation, and then you know even the generations that are coming along, I think will find their way.
Absolutely. What's your viewpoint of, getting into like the later part of your 30s? Do you feel like you're having a hard time? And obviously I ask that because I feel like I'm kind of like I've never really thought about like really like all my birthdays. Like I was always like whatever, whatever. And then when I turned 38, when I just turned 38, I was like, "Oh wow." Like, "Oh my God." And so like are you experiencing that? Or are you still like,
Well, I ain't 38 yet, okay?
"Oh, okay, okay."
But no, not necessarily. The number thing doesn't bother me. Like, it doesn't click. I think it's more of like I've been more successful every decade, I think, and successful in terms of not just, you know, business or financially successful, more of like even the relationships and the people that I've gotten to know or strengthened relationships through the years have gotten just better and better, right? Like I've left people behind, I've met new people, you know what I mean? Like I've gotten new experiences, I've traveled to different places, like just gotten better and better. So it's like once I get to like 40, I'm going to be like this the 30s were great, but I'm really excited. I think what the
What's
next
ahead?
decade, what's ahead. I hope.
So too. I think no, I think so. I think like when I get to like that 40 number, then it'll be like a little switch of because I think the 30s is just a really like growing, assessing. You're slowing down from partying. You're kind of like, hey, or at least this is how I'm like, okay, so wait, what happened? You know?
Yeah, and when I
Right?
think about, yeah, when I look back, like it's my 20s, it's like finishing college, I'm broke, I'm coming out for the first time. which is a whole experience in itself. And then in my 30s, it's like I know who I am. I have a, an established career. I know like what I want to do. I know what I don't want to do. And so it's like 30s is great, and then 40s is even going to be better. Maybe I'll do something different in my 40s, but it's like I'll have the confidence from my 30s to that I can do this.
I think by 40 you're like, okay, I'm like stable. Or like I'm like feet on the ground, like eyes to the
I'm a
stars.
daddy now.
Okay, so fun fact, even though Ryan is from the Philly area, how long did you live in Charlotte?
Oh my God, I lived in Charlotte for a year, left for a work opportunity for 6 months, and then I came back for like 9 months. So like total time was like a year and a half, almost 2 years.
And so what would you tell people about Charlotte? What was your vibes? What was your experience?
I think, well, I moved to Charlotte right when the population broke like 1 million people. So it was like right on the cusp of like growing as a city. So it was already like growing, like which obviously probably what attracted me there, why the opportunity to move there came about. But it was really growing even more. And I think they were at like more and more people were moving to Charlotte. The different neighborhoods were getting gentrified or becoming more popular. I saw a lot of construction of like, new apartment buildings and homes going in and stuff like that, that it just like to, meet the demand of the population. I think one of the things I always remember Charlotte, it's like a clean city. It was like so clean. You don't see a lot. There's no like gum or trash all over the streets and things like that that you see in some other major cities. People move a little slower than we do up here in the north, but that's all right. But it's great. I mean, I think I think Charlotte has really found itself in a nice food scene. They're like, well, bringing in restaurants from different parts of the country, or chefs and things like that, different influences. I love Charlotte. It's great. The only thing we need a happy hour.
Like, what do you mean? Just like a consistent like deals
Like
for
at
happy
5 o'clock on a Friday, there should be discounted drinks somewhere, which I don't think when I lived there you could do that.
And fun fact, everyone, Brian was with my parents for a little bit, so I feel like you really got
Yeah.
like an interesting homie, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it was like it was a perfect welcoming by like two Southern, the Southern, the best, of the best.
Oh, they love that. Okay, so like final wrap up. Any predictions? So we're recording here at, towards the end of March 2026. What's your prediction, like two predictions for the rest of the year you think might transpire?
I think we're going to see something very interesting happen with the Bachelorette. I think
It's like
more
there's
to
more to
come.
come.
There's more to come. And and then I think we're going to see. I think the elections are going to be really interesting. I think we're going to see people really come out and vote and vote for what they think is really important to them.
Absolutely. Like maybe like a blowout.
Yeah.
And my final, because I want to use up all my time. I haven't asked this in a while. It's dark, but it's supposed to be fun. What would be your last meal?
Oh, just a nice glass of red wine.
That's it?
I don't know. I mean, I like all kinds of food. Um, my last meal.
I know it's like macabre, but
Yeah.
like
I
I
don't
guess
know.
like Italian, American, Greek, Mexican.
Probably it could be like some real traditional like tacos al pastor from Mexico City. That could be it. Um, I don't know. It kind of depends. Am I on death row being murdered, or is it just more of like this is it? This is
No,
how I
no, just this is it.
go. Yeah, I mean, I love tacos. Anytime I can find a good opportunity to get ta good tacos al pastor in the U.S., that's what I go for. So we'll go with that.
Okay, and do you want to share your like Instagram or
Oh yeah, of
anything you
course.
want?
It's at Brooks and Stella. So Stella's my dog, so you'll see a lot of Stella content on there.
Yes, how old is she now?
She'll be 12 in September. She's getting up there.
Oh my, I'll never forget you got her from Charlotte like on Valentine's Day. And I feel like you asked me to go and
Yeah,
I couldn't. And then like I came back over later and I was like, oh my God.
there's a dog here. Yeah.
Oh my God. And I do want to say like fun fact. My whole family went to Ryan's wedding and we all said, my parents included, because I say that because they're an older, that it was the best wedding we have ever been to.
It was really good. It was great.
Like legit. Maybe do you think you would have like tips for tips for other people getting married on? I guess here, I didn't plan on asking this, but like, what do you think was one tip for a couple getting married? Like, is there one tip that you feel like they should go into it thinking?
I think about how you what you really want, right? Like, and like you, if you love a venue and it's too big, there's ways that you can make it feel smaller. If you don't love the venue, don't book it. Um, I think to pick the things that are important to you. But then also, like, I think the first thing you really have to do when you're planning something like that is like, you really have to sit down and make up your guest list. Like, not just like, I want to invite these people, but who really do you want to invite? And that can really help you figure out like how to get started and, what your budget needs to be.
So work on guest list first,
I would say that's, yeah, guest list. It's easy to like say we're going to invite,
so and so.
second, third, fourth cousins, but like that you haven't seen in a decade. But
But do you really?
do you really want to pay for them?
Yeah, fair. Okay, well, we got a little bit over a minute to go. That's it. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was great. I love it.
My bestie from SoFlo.
Yeah.
Ryan has been on a prior episode, but it was kind of, from what I remember, it was like a mixtape. So I had a bunch of different little clippets of interviews. So how do you feel like a full-blown one?
Let's do it again. I want a weekly appearance.
Any final quotes, thoughts?
No. No, it was great. I can't wait to see this get posted and I'll chat with you soon.
Oh, look.
Perfect.